Well, we have quite the video for you guys today, brought to you by Simply Safe. There is no safe like Simply Safe. And just like that, we're back, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. Now, unfortunately, today's video is going to be a little bit heartbreaking. We've done this 2 times in the past and we're doing it again. We're going to be selling a bunch of cars. The OGs might remember back in the year 2020, we sold my purple C8 Corvette with the white Vossen wheels. We sold the purple Mark V Toyota Supra, the pan and wide body. That car was crazy. We sat center stage at SEMA. The purple Army, as far as just like an era, I feel like that was peak. That was such a fun time. We sold the Focus RS, and then of course we also sold the 2005 Ford GT. I bought that car in Hawaii. It was white with blue stripes. It had that FI exhaust that absolutely screamed like a wild banshee. Of all the cars I've ever sold, I probably missed that one the most. I want to buy another Ford GT someday, one day. Of course, you also remember the reason I sold those cars was to buy the Veyron. We bought that in August of 2020. And then of course, fast forward to 2023, we did it all over again. We sold the Nissan GTR R35 Godzilla, the bug killer. That car was so insane. That was the craziest car I've ever had in my life. 60 to 130. Oh, let's go! What? 143, baby. The bug killer. We sold the Corvette Z06. We sold the Mark IV Toyota Supra. Ironically, I actually listed my Ram TRX for sale. I still have that. It's in Pennsylvania with the 812. Probably not going to sell that anytime soon, but at the time I was trying to get rid of it. And then of course we sold the Razor. You might remember I bought that same day I promptly tipped it over with 17 miles on the odometer. And of course the reason that I had to sell those cars was because of this house. The original budget was $2 million. I started construction right at the start of COVID. Prices of raw materials, concrete, lumber, steel got hyperinflated. And by the time I moved in, we were sitting at $3 million. So we were $1 million over budget. I took out a second mortgage called a HELOC for $500,000, but I had all these cars in the garage. I probably had 13, 14 cars. 12, 13 of them were paid off. The Countach, the Veyron were not. And it just didn't make any sense to have all these cars paid off and take out a second mortgage on the house. I was swimming in this financial turmoil. I had all this stress, and cash flow is always king. And my cash flow, I just couldn't sustain it as long as I needed to. And so selling cars just made sense, and it got me out of that situation. And I also want to admit, this goes without saying, I haven't made every single perfect financial decision the last 10 years here on YouTube. Some decisions you make with your heart. You see a certain car and you fall in love with it and you buy it, and then you realize later down the line you didn't think with your brain, you thought with your heart, and you got to correct it with your brain. Now the reason we're selling cars is a little bit different this time. We're not selling cars to buy a hypercar, and we're not selling cars because of financial stress associated with the house, kind of, sort of, but a little bit associated with the house. I want to take these cars, I want to sell them, and I want to finish this house. I want to finish that underground garage. I want to do it the right way. I want to finish the backyard. And then also completely opposite of that, we're working on opening up Strad Pizza, and there's a lot of financial burden associated with that. Me and my 2 other partners were self-funding that, and there's going to be a lot of costs associated with that, and that's a passion project that I'm super excited about. And I got 18 cars in the collection right now, and there's a lot of the cars that I've driven maybe 2, maybe 3 times in the last year. There's other cars I've never driven. Now we have a couple updates here in the garage. The red Huracan Technica is not mine. I'm just storing it for a friend, just like the white Murcielago that is also not mine. Different friends, however. Now the doors here in the office, you might remember they opened up this way, and I said they were going to be rotated. They now open up like this. Now here in the house, my first priority is this staircase. I want to finish that. You'll also note there's no baseboard here in the garage. It kind of has this unfinished look. It looks a little bit grimy. Add baseboard. And then of course the majority of the money that I get from selling cars is the back cave. There's basically nothing's done down here. For lack of a better term, the back cave is turned into one giant junk drawer. I got tires, I got brick, I got skis, I got extra wheels. I mean, I got a Ferrari, half of a Ferrari bumper. We got the Supra, we got the M2, we got the Indy car, and then of course we have this. And this looks like my Countach. This is not my Countach. Now, most of you guys know my buddy Josh. He's got the long red beard. He is just the absolute legend. This is his replica Countach. He's gonna do a crazy build on this thing. Now, the trailer that has the 812 in Pennsylvania is Josh's trailer, and this thing was stored in Josh's trailer. He let me borrow the trailer, so we're now storing the Countach. This thing down here in the back cave is just so fitting. Like, it looks like a old school barn find. He's going to turn this into the craziest twin turbo wide body Countach you've ever seen. Obviously the Indy car, I still want to put that on the wall. We're still going to put that on the wall. And that's another thing I want to do with the money from selling cars. Now to finish up the back cave, there's still a ton to do. We gotta get power ran down here, we gotta get light fixtures, a little more framing, drywall, paintwork, finish work, flooring, ceiling, sound deadening. It's gonna cost a lot of money. In this garage, I think because it's an underground back cave, it looks a lot smaller on camera. It's about 4,000 square feet, and I'm guessing to finish this the way I want to, which is really, really cool and nice and unique, it's gonna be between $150,000 and $200,000. It might even be more than that. given my experience, but we'll kind of sort of see. It's gonna cost a lot of money, but it's cheaper to do it right the first time than it is the second time. And when you guys see this garage and the vision that I have for it, I think you're gonna love it. Now on that bombshell, I'm excited to announce today's video has been sponsored by Simply Safe. Now imagine most of you guys are just like me in the summertime. You're on more vacations, you got more summer activities, and your house sits empty a whole lot more of the time. And contrary to popular belief, the majority of break-ins, they're not in the middle of the night. They're actually during the middle of the day when nobody is home. And in the summertime with the longer days, it actually spikes to an all-time yearly high. There are more break-ins in the middle of the day in the summertime than any other time the rest of the year. Protect yourself before it's too late. You guys know how much I love Simply Safe. I use my Simply Safe home security system every single day. At some point during the day, I check the live feed from the Simply Cams on my cell phone to make sure Oscar is safe, the cars are safe, the house is safe. Simply Safe. There's no long-term contracts. You don't have to sign your life away. There's no hidden fees. You can get started for less than $1 a day. That is less than half the cost of traditional home security. Now I have Simply Safe smart security devices located throughout my entire house. You can see the outdoor camera there that covers the front entryway, the driveway, the main street, as well as the cul-de-sac. I installed my Simply Safe security system myself. It took me less than an hour. Now Simply Safe does have professionals that can do the installation for you. Now my favorite part about Simply Safe is being able to access this live feed anytime, anywhere. If I'm laying in bed late at night and one of the Simply Cams detects motion, it actually sends me a notification directly to my phone. I can access the live feed and determine if the threat is real. That peace of mind laying in bed, like you can't beat that. It also has this microphone right here. You can actually talk to somebody within the live feed, whether it's an intruder or a family member in real time. And Simply Safe has 24/7 live guard protection. This means that professional monitoring agents can see and speak with intruders in real time and stop them in their tracks. And being able to convey the unique details to emergency dispatch is gonna help prioritize emergency response. Check out the link below to simplysafe.com/stradman. You can save 20% off your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring, and the first month is free. Simplysafe.com/stradman to customize yours today. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Now don't worry, we're not selling the Gladiator Helisaurus 6x6. We just gotta go for a ride around the property. Since the TRX has been in Pennsylvania, this has been my daily driver, and it has been awesome. I love this truck so much. One of the coolest builds, if not the coolest build I've ever done on the channel, the most unique. Now my house sits on 1.7 acres, and the property line is that back fence right there, and I'm gonna show you the back corner, and in the process of that, we're gonna destroy some weeds. I hate these weeds so much. The size of these guys is just out of control. So my property line is everything to the left of the gravel road up to my neighbor's fence there. And then on this side, it's obviously everything in. So this corner right here, these weeds, these are all mine. I gotta landscape all of this. And I didn't mention, I sold my Mark IV Toyota Supra to really landscape my front yard. That was like $92,000 I sold it for, and that's what it cost to landscape the front yard. And the backyard is probably 2.5 to 3 times bigger than that. We got this rock outcrop over here as well. I mean, this is just absolutely disgusting. I hate these weeds. And that's one of the main reasons I want to finish this backyard, is just to get rid of this stuff. I mean, these things are just notorious. I mean, look at this guy. Oh. That is so gross. Now, luckily the Gladiator does have full paint protection film, but I'm gonna have to wash it. And that's one thing I wanna add to my backyard, is my own self car wash. And then of course, another thing I wanna do is finish the fence section right there. You guys know about that fiasco. It's not a lot of money, but add it to the list. You can pretty much tell where my property line ends on this side. So this lot over here, this is owned by somebody else. This acre lot, I do not own this. You can actually see they're getting ready to start construction. I'm guessing sometime this summer. So in addition to the back cave, I want to landscape this backyard. I want to clear all these weeds out of here. I want to add a detached garage eventually, but I don't think it's in the budget quite yet. At least maybe pour the concrete pad for the detached garage. One of my goals though is, like, landscaping is amazing, but you got to water it, you got to maintain it, you got to cut grass, you got to pull weeds, etc., etc. A sports court is a lot easier to maintain, and it'd be a ton of fun. So in summary, we got the back cave, we got the entire backyard, we got the fence, we got the staircase in the big garage, but then we also have the basement. Now, I really don't need the additional space down here in the basement. If you remember correctly, so the back cave is underground beneath the main garage, the basement is under the main house, and there's the tunnel right over there that connects the two. The basement really has turned into car parts storage. You can see we got all sorts of Aventador parts, Corvette parts, etc., etc. it's just a junkyard. Now, I definitely don't need this basement space to be completed per se, but if they're doing the back cave, they may as well do this side, because having one drywall crew come in and just knock out the entire thing in a week is gonna be a lot easier, a lot cleaner, and a lot more affordable. And just a quick refresher, if you're new to the channel, we came down that staircase, and then this is the underground tunnel that goes underneath the driveway that connects to the back cave garage right here, where we were earlier. And of course, as I was mentioning earlier, put the IndyCar on the wall there. Little Oscar Marshmallow, good morning, bud. And in the kitchen as well, you'll see, I don't have a kitchen hood. I want to sort that out too. So priority one when I sell some of these cars is the back cave, and then everything after that. So finish the back cave and then do everything else. And I know I told you guys that I sold the Nissan Z and I was going to take that money to finish the back cave. I said that before I found out about the Ferrari 812 and the frame repair. That's going to be $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000. So I'm kind of holding that money, setting it aside, waiting until I sort out the 812, which by the way, I don't really have any news. So we're putting up 4 cars for sale. And when I say we're selling 4 cars, we're actually only selling 3 cars with the possibility of selling 2 cars. So the Lamborghini LM in white and the Lamborghini LM in black, I'm putting both of them up for sale. The one that sells will be sold, and the one that doesn't sell, I will keep. So the carbureted one's for sale, the fuel injected one is for sale, whichever one sells goes away, and the other one I'm not selling. As most of you guys know, the black LM, I have never driven this thing because unfortunately, it does not have an engine in it. Although there's no engine inside the LM, it does come with an engine. The engine just so happens to be in Ohio at Evans Auto in Columbus. That's exactly where I just got the white truck from. So this needs a lot more love, whereas the white one is turnkey, it's ready to roll. Now that being said though, the interior on this thing was redone. It is absolutely flawless. This thing is pristine inside. Black is super cool. This is a fuel injected LM, that is a carbureted LM. If you guys remember, I was looking for an LM for a long time and I was negotiating on both of these trucks simultaneously, and ironically my offers were accepted simultaneously, and I found myself in a weird predicament in 1 week where I bought 2 Lamborghini LMs. I'm not going to say it was an accident, it was definitely one of those heart decisions, it wasn't a brain decision, and I had a vision for this truck, putting a Gallardo V10 or a Huracan V10 in this, or an Aventador, doing a 6x6 build, and it seemed like such a fun proposition in theory. And then once I got the truck here and I started having conversations with shops and I realized how much money it was going to cost, and then the flip side, I was going to destroy the value of a Lamborghini Novelty, a very rare truck. There's 300 in the world. It was like, this doesn't really make sense. Like, this isn't logical. It doesn't make sense to have 2 Lamborghini LMs. So this truck, you know, there's not turnkey. This is a project, but for the right person, the spec on this thing is gorgeous. Now I'm looking to get $220,000 for this LM. Obviously, like I said, the engine is in Ohio, and there's a lot more like finer details to this truck. But if you are interested, yeah, let me know. This is a sales pitch right here. Come on, fires up every single time. I mean, you can see the interior. This is a properly used truck. Most LMs are this way, but yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, 3rd time's the charm. The oldest girl, the 1974 Spider. Come on. Come on. Come on, work with me. It's so hot in this car right now. And the windows, like, unfortunately, they roll down. They work though. I mean, that is functional. If you buy my pink Espada, I'm not gonna say she's gonna start up the first time. That is not part of the buyer's agreement, okay? There's no warranty with this thing. She'll fire up eventually. You just gotta give her some tender loving care. Back in the 1980s, you'd be hard pressed to beat these 3 right here. You got the 74 Espada, the 87 Countach, and the 87 LM. Now, at some point during the year 2021, I became obsessed with owning vintage Lamborghinis. Like my childhood, I always loved these 3 vehicles, but I made it a goal to collect all of them, and we almost got there. I never got the Diablo, but you know, we got the Espada, the Countach, the LM, but unfortunately, and this looks amazing by the way, like this is so sick. Unfortunately, these 3 cars, especially in the black LM, I never drive any of them. Now today here in the state of Utah, it is 102 degrees Fahrenheit, and if I was to drive any 3 of these cars for an extended period of time, more than likely they would overheat. The air conditioning doesn't work in any of them. And so what I realized is for half the year, I can't drive any of these. You can't drive them in the winter here in Utah. You can't drive them in the summer. So you got a couple days in the spring and a couple days in the fall that you can really enjoy them. And at the end of the day, like the Countach is worth $700,000. The Espada is about 150, and the white LM is about 350. So you add that all up and you're at $1.2 million. And you drive the cars collectively less than 10 days a year. Doesn't make sense. So yes, unfortunately, in summary, These three are all for sale as well, including the black LM that doesn't run, so I couldn't pull it outside. The Countach I'm looking for $700,000. The Espada I'm looking for $150,000. And the white LM I'm looking for $350,000. The biggest issue at the end of the day is I'm a YouTuber and I have all this money in all these cars, and it's very hard to film anything with them because they're so valuable, they're so fragile. It's so hot today. Here I am filming a video on these three cars, and I don't feel comfortable to actually take them out on the road to showcase them because I'm worried they're gonna overheat, catch on fire, break down, there's no air conditioning, and it's gonna be an all-out cluster. As far as the asking price for the three cars, Ed Bullion from VinWiki and John Tamarian from Curated, they did an appraisal video on my car collection. They valued this at $700, that at $150, and that at $350, and so that's why I'm asking what I'm asking. I'm just kind of going based off their analysis. I have to admit, seeing these cars together, I am questioning my decision. That is such a cool combination. And the hardest part is like Countaches are going up in value, LMs are going up in value. The Espada is like it's never gonna be worth that much money. But as a trio, that is cool. One key detail about the Espada, the odometer is broken at 98,832. So as far as the actual mileage on this vehicle, I have not the slightest idea. And just to reiterate, I don't want to sell the white one. I realized I just got this back last week. How could I sell it? I don't want to sell it. I want to sell the black one, but if there was a buyer for the white one, then I would fix the black one. That makes sense, yeah? I know a lot of you guys were not expecting this, especially on the Countach, because I realized multiple times I said I would never sell this. And when I said that, that came from a point of view of enthusiasm. I wasn't trying to lie to you guys, and I truthfully didn't think I would ever sell this, but as you get older, circumstances change, priorities change, financial choices change, and sometimes you just go a different direction, and that's kind of life. And you know, owning these vehicles has been incredible, but when it comes to the vintage cars, you got to insure them, you never drive them, the maintenance is crazy, even though you don't drive them. And if you don't drive them, they break more, and if you drive them too much, they break a lot. So it's kind of sort of a crazy circumstance, but I'm kind of dropping this on YouTube first. I think these vehicles I'll probably need to sell somewhere else publicly, whether it's an online platform of some kind, but I'll keep you posted on that as well. If you are interested, send me a message on Instagram or send me an email. But yes, we are selling those 4 vehicles, really 3 because I'm gonna keep one of the LMs. But on that bombshell, today's video is over.